Hey, this episode of the Aaron Cohen Show is sponsored by the Cherries Deep Concealment Holster. The Cherries Multi-Fit Deep Concealment Holster. This is the same holster I trained Keanu on for the John Wick franchise. You're not going to find a more comfortable concealable holster anywhere on the planet. Groundbreaking below the waistband or BWB technology, which means zero digging into your gut, allowing this thing to be worn all day, super comfortable. It also has a lightning fast draw, and it's designed, because of where it rides, ensures that it's never going to fall off you if you have to go hands-on. So it's great for law enforcement, for off-duty carry. Check out cherriescounterterror.com and carry concealed with comfort and a lightning fast draw. Moving on. Big news popping right now. We've got leaked classified Israeli documents, and it's a crisis. These leaked classified documents, this isn't some hack job. This could be potentially catastrophic. These documents, if they're what I suspect, contain critical tactical and tactical information or intelligence about Israel's plans to attack the IRGC's nuclear sites. Leaking these documents of this nature, this is more than a breach of trust, all right? This is a direct threat to Israel's livelihood and Israel's overall macro security here. And this gives Iran and Hezbollah and every other massive terror network out there an advantage. And so what's the Biden-Harris administration's response to all this? Right now, there's nothing. There's dead silence. Congress is starting to get rattled, and I'm sure they're going to start to peel open this can, but I wanted to bring this one up. So far, there's no condemnation, no outreach to reassure our allies, Israel. There's no effort to investigate this right now as this leak has arisen. And so let me be really clear here. Any compromise of Israeli security operations compromises U.S. security as well. And if Israel can't act freely in its defense, the power vacuum in the Middle East will get filled by Iran and those terror proxies. It'll expand. And that brings me to my last point tonight as we get started. Israel's targeted operation and assassination of Yehya Sinwar. I want to talk about that. Sinwar, the terrorist mastermind who's responsible for some of the most brutal attacks against Israel, including October 7th. The head of Hamas's military and political wing. Sinwar orchestrated the October 7th massacre and hundreds of terror attacks leading up to October 7th. Hides behind human shields. Has built his entire strategy around using innocent people as fodder. Creative and lethal, this guy. And this week, Israeli forces successfully eliminated Sinwar in a standard ground operation with the Bislamach Brigade. They went in there, they were doing building clears, the Sir Lachatz pressure cooker technique, ended up killing Sinwar and cut the finger off, identified him, and it is a significant elimination, both in terms of operations, Hamas operational capability, and the signal that it sends, all right? Now we're hearing rumbling that Biden's team wasn't too thrilled about this operation. Remember, they didn't want us in Gaza. So there's this narrative floating around that we saw of Kamala speaking to this thing, saying going into Rafah would be a mistake. And let me make this really clear. Had we not gone into Rafah, Sinwar would not be dead. And I also believe had we not gone into Rafah, more of those hostages would be alive, including Hirsch. Boots on the ground saves lives. And the killing of Sinwar wasn't just about neutralizing a threat. It's about sending a message and getting closure. It's vengeance. It's whatever you want to call it. And Israel's not going to hesitate. Let me make that clear. With or without the U.S. approval, Israel will not hesitate. So here's what we're looking at. U.S. administration weak on Israel, leaked documents that compromise Israeli security, and the Israeli military continuing to do what it does best, defending its people. And no matter the cost, and whether Biden or Harris administration likes it or not, Israel will continue to take out the world's terrorists like Sinwar, Ismail Haniyeh, Khalid Mashal, Mohammed Daif, and Hassan Nasrallah. And that's a good thing. And not just for Israel, but for everybody who values Western values. And I'm going to leave it with this. When you hear about U.S. Israel relations, don't buy into this spin. Biden and Harris have not been good to Israel. And watch closely who's really making sure that the world's only Jewish state remains safe and secure. And that's Bibi and the IDF. I'm Aaron Cohen, and you're watching the Aaron Cohen Show. And here is where I tell it like it is. Get ready. I want to quickly tell you how you can support the Aaron Cohen Show. Our mission here is simple: combat the anti-Israel misinformation that's spreading across media and social platforms. I'm going to be bringing you the truth about Israel, the Israel Defense Forces, and the challenges it faces every day, but we can't do it without your help. This is an independently produced show, and by sponsoring the show, you can help us keep delivering the facts straight to your screen. Head to the link in the description or in my bio to learn more about how you can sponsor the Aaron Cohen Show. Every shekel matters. Together, let's fight all this misinformation. And so here we go. Moving on. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to be diving into a very dangerous, of what looks like a betrayal here of U.S.-Israeli relations, something I've never seen before. Recently, highly sensitive, top secret U.S. U.S. intelligence documents dated October 15th and 16th were leaked. These detail Israel's preparations for an extensive strike inside of Iran, a strike that is critical in neutralizing one of the largest threats in the Middle East. So here's where I'm at with this. The fact that the document made its way out of a secure intelligence channel and into the public sphere to the media isn't just reckless, it feels almost treasonous. The Biden administration, specifically Kamala Harris, playing politics with our most important ally. And today, I'm going to start tearing this apart and getting into those leaks and talking about how this not only affects Israel, but affects U.S. security as well. All right, let's start with the facts. One of our sources inside the U.S. intelligence community has shared an extremely sensitive, top secret U.S. intelligence document dated October 15 and 16, which outlines in detail Israel's preparations for a massive strike inside Iran. And here's what we're talking about, guys. We're talking about critical military operational material. And if executed, this would disrupt Iran's nuclear capabilities and severely weaken the IRGC's ability to fire those ballistic nuclear missiles. Now, I want you to understand the magnitude of this. This was a planned military operation that involves months of preparation, possibly years by Israel, of preparation, intelligence gathering, coordination. And because of the leak, Israel's enemies are now aware of their plans. And the element of surprise has been compromised, which gives Iran the upper hand to retaliate, regroup, restructure, refortify. And it's all because the Biden-Harris administration has allowed this to slip through the cracks. The consequences of this leak are very serious. Israel was gearing up for a mission that could have changed the balance of the power in the region. You've heard me say, you need to speak the language of the Middle East, which the Biden-Harris administration do not speak. So significantly weakening Iran's nuclear capabilities and protecting the free world from an armed Iranian regime. But now the operation is jeopardized. Israel can't execute the mission with the same element of surprise, and that puts Israel at risk. That element of surprise is everything in counterterrorism. Imagine what that means for U.S.-Israel relationships right now quietly. All right, Israel's been one of America's most trusted allies for decades. We share intelligence. We conduct joint military training operations and real operations. And we depend on each other to combat terrorism and maintain that security in the Middle East. But how can Israel trust the Biden-Harris administration now with that sensitive information being leaked and them unable to secure basic classified documents? It's an issue. It's a real problem. I want to touch on the political side of this thing. Kamala Harris and the Biden administration, here's the truth, have been playing a little fast and loose with America's most important ally, Israel. And we've seen this since October 7th. Don't go into Rafah. Don't go into Rafah. There's a reason that this classified information leaked, and we need to address the broader political agenda here. The progressive wing of the Democratic Party has been increasingly hostile towards Israel. They've pressured Biden and Harris to shift foreign policy, weakening support for Israel, which emboldens the IRGC, Hezbollah, and the proxies. And Kamala Harris has remained silent, allowing these leaks to happen now under her watch. This is more than just political posturing. This is borderline betrayal. And Israel's being sold out to appease the far left, and it's putting lives in danger. I never thought I'd be having this conversation. Now, what people aren't talking about is how this affects U.S. national security. I want to get into that. Israel is America's eyes and ears on the ground in the Middle East. We're your forward operating base. We gather intelligence from places that the U.S. operatives can't reach through our Mossad, our Amman, our Shin Bet. And when Israel can no longer trust us to keep its intelligence secure, it compromises our ability to defend ourselves against global terrorism. You saw what happened on October 7th. We can't make mistakes. So think about it. If Israel stops sharing critical intelligence with the U.S. because it can't trust the U.S., then the Americans lose vital access to information that could protect American lives. And let's not forget, Israel's operations against Iran, if they fail, Iran will continue its pursuit of nuclear weapons, putting both Israeli and American lives at risk. Real quick, guys, just want to take a break. I want to remind you that the Aaron Cohen Show is brought to you by the viewers like you. And if you believe in supporting truth about Israel and fighting anti-Israel misinformation, please consider sponsoring the show. And with your help, we can keep delivering the truth and hard-hitting analysis to expose the lies that are out there floating around since October 8th, which are attempting to damage Israel's reputation. To learn more how you can support, head to the link in the description or in my bio. Every contribution makes a difference in getting this show off the ground and spreading the truth. Let's get back into it. Today we're diving into one of the most significant tactical operations of the Israel-Hamas war, the killing of Yehya Sinwar by the Israel Defense Forces. As you may know, Sinwar was the top leader of Hamas operations in Gaza and the mastermind behind the October 7th massacre. So this isn't new information, but his elimination by the IDF has marked a major turning point in Israel's counterterrorism strategy. I want to discuss how it happened and its significance moving forward. A little bit more about Yehya Sinwar. Sinwar wasn't just another Hamas operative. Sinwar spent 20 years in an Israeli prison. He was the commander and the founder of the Al-Qassam Brigades, Hamas's military wing, and overseer of everything that involved those rockets being launched, as well as the tunnel warfare. Sinwar was born in Khan Yunis in 1962, co-founded Hamas's military wing, the Izz al-Din al-Qassam Brigades, and under his leadership, focused heavily on building its underground tunnel network to strengthen its terror capabilities, including developing, again, those ties with Iran for that weapons support and that financial support. Sinwar, his strategy relied on guerrilla tactics, again, targeting Israeli citizens, using that Gaza-dense urban environment as cover, survived an assassination attempt by Israel in 21, which only made him more cautious and more difficult and more elusive. He operated from deep within those tunnels over the years, making the intelligence gathering very difficult for tracking his movements, regardless of how good our intelligence is. The unit responsible for eliminating Sinwar was the IDF's Bislamach Brigade, or the Bet Sefer Lechimat Milchama, the IDF's elite infantry corps school, which is tasked with training future squad commanders, but often deploys for ground-based operations. They've been very active in Gaza. They've got a ton of close quarters battle skill, and they're very highly trained in urban warfare. And it's one of Israel's most adaptable ground units. You can throw these guys anywhere, and they're perfectly capable of operating in densely populated, complex urban environments like Gaza. The brigade consists of several battalions, each specializing in different forms of infantry operations. And on this mission, the 17th Battalion led the ground assault. They were coordinating with Israeli intelligence and just conducting basic clear operations throughout Rafah. Sinwar happened to be out of one of his tunnels and moving into a structure. And the IDF unit, the Bislamach unit, had no idea. They thought they were just dealing with a couple of terrorists. And launching a basic clearing operation, as they were doing for the last several weeks. 3 terrorists ended up popping their heads up. They ended up putting a headshot into Sinwar after dumping him with some tank rounds, not even knowing that it was him. And the brigade, after the firefight, ended up confirming that it was Sinwar. They cut off his finger, sent it to back into Israel for a DNA check, for dental records check. And it marked a very significant victory psychologically for Israel, taking out this mastermind. So it was pretty significant. We have here vengeance, if you will. It's a closed chapter. Real quick, before I continue, guys, I just want you guys to know the Aaron Cohen Show is independently produced. Your support helps keeping the content coming. If you're enjoying this interview and you find value in my real-time analysis on Israel and counterterrorism and talking about Israel's special operations, please consider sponsoring the show. I've got small packages that are available. Go to the link in the description or hit the link in my bio. Grab one of those early sponsorship packages. They range from $25 up to $500. Every shekel helps. Appreciate you guys. So the decision to continue with these ground operations was tricky. Biden and Harris have been keeping Israel out of Rafah. Rafah and boots on the ground in Rafah is what ultimately killed Sinwar. And the Bislamach's brigade and their ability to be able to perform those CQB and urban operations within Rafah, was just business as usual. And they're perfectly capable of making those clears. And the real-time intelligence that Israel's been drumming over the last year, and then feeding those to the forward operations down on the ground. That rolling campaign movement has been critical in Israel's pressure cooker campaign. And what it eventually did was it pushed Sinwar into Rafah, the final corner or bastion of Gaza. And that Bislamach brigade just happened to be the lucky ones that ended up rolling him out. Timing was really everything on this one. And operations were just ongoing. And this unit executed perfectly. And it's a testament to that rolling ground intelligence campaign where those units are coordinating and operating beautifully. But the big piece here is that psychological blow. Sinwar's death doesn't just remove a tactical leader from the terror battlefield. It's a psychological blow to Hamas. He's been seen as untouchable for years. His removal does create a power vacuum within Hamas, but the command and control structure has been disrupted even further, at least temporarily, and that gives Israel a strategic advantage for conducting future operations and finishing the final clearances of Gaza. But there's challenges with urban warfare, especially when dealing with entrenched terrorists. Rafah, where the operation took place, very densely populated. Riddled with underground tunnels, as we've seen over the last year, very tight corridors, making it very combat unpredictable. But the Bislamach brigade, did, again, an incredible job, able to conduct those complex building clears using the drones and being able to adapt to that rapidly changing battlefield environment and still be able to achieve their objectives. And then look what happens when you do it right. You get lucky and you land on a diamond. And like we say in Hebrew, lachatz yotzei yalomim, which means pressure creates diamonds. Sinwar was the diamond. So the loss of Sinwar is going to hamper their capabilities in the short term for Hamas. Israel will continue to dismantle what's left of Hamas throughout Gaza, and they'll just keep doing their business as usual. For Hamas, replacing a figure like Sinwar isn't going to be easy. He was not only a military strategist in his mind, but he was a symbol of resistance. Remember, he spent 20 years in our prison, becoming a psychopath, and his death does create a vacuum. And that certainly does work to Israel's advantage in the coming months, but I do not think that this is the last of Gaza. You got to remember, this is guerrilla warfare. As they pop out and we engage, they disappear. So again, textbook, good intelligence, good tactical execution and movement. Israel, once again, has proven that all of these terrorist leaders are within Israel's reach, even to our basic infantry units, no matter how well hidden they are. So big victory for Israel. Nice blow to Hamas. And as this conflict continues, the dynamics are going to continue to shift, and Israel's going to have to stay in front of it, and they will. But on this one, they've gained the upper hand. So hats off to the Bislamach Brigade. Chevre, ani matzdiya lecha. I salute you. Hey guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. Episode 1. Hey, if you're passionate about Israel's safety and security and want to support independent shows like the Aaron Cohen Show, please become a sponsor. Your contribution helps us continue to deliver really hard-hitting content on the latest counterterrorism operations in Israel and the IDF and fighting that IDF misinformation. Please hit the link in my description or my bio and grab yourselves one of those sponsorship packages. Kol shekel ozer. Every shekel helps. Appreciate you guys. See you soon on the Aaron Cohen Show on the next episode.